The ground shook before I even heard the ship. I was fixing a water pump outside my house when the sky split open with light, and a shadow the size of a small mountain slid over the fields. My neighbors ran for cover. I did not. I just stood there, wrench in hand, heart pounding, because I knew that engine sound. I had heard it once before, 15 years ago, on the worst night of my life and the best one. The ship landed in the dry field behind my house, crushing the wheat I had planted that spring. Doors hissed open. No soldiers marched out. No weapons were raised. Just one figure, wrapped in a plain gray cloak, walking slowly toward me, like she was afraid I would vanish if she moved too fast. She pulled back her hood. I forgot how to breathe. Her skin still had that soft silver shimmer I remembered, the one that used to catch the moonlight when she was small and could not sleep. Her eyes were the same deep violet, but they were older now, tired in a way that made my chest ache. She looked at me the way a person looks at the one place in the universe that still feels like home. "Hello, Daniel," she said, using the name I gave her the night I found her. My knees almost gave out. "Mira," I whispered, "you're alive." "I never stopped being alive," she said. "I only stopped being able to come back. I want to tell you how it started, because none of this makes sense unless you know where it began. 15 years ago, I was still a soldier, stationed on a border world nobody cared about until a war came looking for it. One night, the sky turned red with fire that did not belong to us. An alien fleet was being destroyed above our heads, ripped apart by an enemy I never saw. I found a small escape pod half buried in the mud outside our base, its metal still hot enough to burn skin. Inside was a child. She could not have been older than 4. She was shaking, covered in ash, wearing a strange silver garment with markings I did not understand. She did not speak. She did not cry. She just stared at me with those violet eyes, like she was waiting to see if I would hurt her too. I should have reported her. Command would have taken her, studied her, maybe used her as a bargaining piece in a war that was not even ours to fight. Something in me refused. I wrapped her in my jacket and carried her back to my quarters, and from that night on, I decided she was not a weapon, or a mystery, or a political problem. She was just a little girl who needed someone. I left the military not long after. Too many questions were being asked, and I did not like the way certain officers looked at her when they thought I was not paying attention. We moved to a quiet farming world at the edge of the map, somewhere nobody important ever visited. I gave her a new name. I taught her to speak our language, to laugh at bad jokes, to plant vegetables in the spring, and watch the stars in the summer. She grew up fast, faster than any child should have to. There were nights she woke up screaming from dreams she never fully explained. There were men who came looking, twice, asking questions about a missing heir from a fallen empire. Each time, I moved us to a new town, changed our names, told the world she was my daughter and nothing more. One night, when she was around 9, she asked me why I never turned her in. I remember the way the kitchen light caught her face, half curious, half afraid of the answer. "Because you're not a prize," I told her. "You're a person, and people take care of people. That's it. That's the whole reason." She never asked again after that. She left when she was 15, and it happened so fast that I barely had time to understand what was happening. 3 ships appeared in the sky one evening, quiet as ghosts, and men in silver armor stepped out and knelt before her, like she was made of something sacred. I remember her turning to look at me, tears in her eyes, torn between 2 entire worlds. "You have to go," I told her, though every part of me wanted to beg her to stay. "Whatever you are out there, be good at it. Be better than good." She hugged me so tightly I thought my ribs would crack, and then she was gone, swallowed by the stars, and I did not hear a single word from her for 15 years. I told myself she was safe. I told myself that was enough. Some nights, it almost was. Now she stood in front of me again, no longer a girl, but a woman, carrying the weight of an entire empire on her shoulders, and I had 1,000 questions I did not know how to ask. Why now? I finally managed. Why after all this time? Because it was never safe before, she said. The empire I was born into does not forgive weakness, Daniel. And love, the way you gave it to me, was considered the greatest weakness of all. If anyone had known where I grew up, or who raised me, they would have used you against me. They would have hurt you to control me. So you stayed away to protect me. Every single day, she said, her voice breaking slightly. It was the hardest thing I have ever done, harder than fighting for my throne, harder than burying the people who tried to stop me from claiming it. Staying away from you nearly broke me more than anything else. I did not know what to say, so I simply pulled her into a hug, the same way I used to when she was small and scared of the dark. She held on like no time had passed at all. That peace did not last long. The sky lit up again, this time with a different kind of ship, sharp and angular, painted in colors I did not recognize. Mira stiffened in my arms and stepped back, her expression shifting instantly from daughter to Empress. They followed me, she said quietly. I was careful. I thought I was careful. Who followed you? A council faction that never accepted me as ruler, she said. They believe an empress raised among humans cannot be trusted to lead our people. They think kindness is a flaw bred into me by this world. They have been waiting for a reason to remove me. Landing here, visiting you, gives them exactly that. The new ship descended fast, kicking up dust across my ruined wheat field. A group of armored figures marched out, led by a tall man with cold eyes and a voice like grinding metal. Empress Mira, he said, each word sharp as a blade. You stand on forbidden ground, in the presence of the very weakness the council warned against. This visit ends your claim to the throne. My claim was never about bloodlines or fear, Commander Vaith, Mira answered, standing tall, no trace of the frightened child I once knew. It was about what kind of leader our people actually need. A leader who bows to a human, Vaith sneered, is no leader at all. I stepped forward without thinking, placing myself slightly in front of her, old instincts refusing to stay buried. She doesn't bow to me, I said. She just remembers where she came from. There's nothing weak about that. Vaith's men raised their weapons. My heart pounded, but I did not move. Lower your weapons, Mira commanded, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade through fog. If you fire on this world, on this man, you will be firing on the very reason our empire survived its darkest years. Ask yourselves honestly, Commander, which kind of ruler united the fractured colonies after the war? Was it the ones who ruled through fear, or the one who learned compassion from a stranger who saved her life? Vaith hesitated, his cold eyes flicking toward his soldiers, searching for support that was clearly beginning to falter. She rebuilt 12 worlds that fear alone destroyed, one of his own soldiers said quietly, lowering his weapon. I will not raise arms against the reason my family is still alive. One by one, the others followed, until only Vaith stood with his weapon still raised, his hand trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. This is not over, he finally said, lowering his weapon at last. The council will hear of this. Let them, Mira said calmly. Let them hear that their empress is not ashamed of where her strength came from. Vaith retreated to his ship without another word, his soldiers following close behind, and within minutes the sky was empty again, quiet except for the wind moving softly through the broken wheat. Mira turned back to me, exhaling slowly, some of the weight visibly lifting from her shoulders. I am sorry, she said. I brought danger to your door. You brought yourself to my door, I said. That's the only part that matters to me. She smiled, a real smile, one I had not seen since she was a child running through these same fields. I did not come here to ask you to rule beside me, or to leave this world behind, she said. I only came because I missed my father, and I was finally strong enough to make sure that visiting him would not cost him his life. My throat tightened. You're strong enough for a lot more than that now. Maybe, she said, but some things never change. I am still the girl you found in that pod, and you are still the man who decided I was worth more than any reward. We stood there together as the sun began to set over the broken field, an empress and a soldier who had once given up everything for a frightened child. And for the first time in 15 years, neither of us felt the need to say goodbye. She stayed 3 days before returning to her empire, promising it would not be another 15 years before she came back. I believed her, because for once, the stars did not feel like they were taking her away from me. They felt like they were finally bringing her home,